Hello everybody, welcome back to Country Girl with Kathy Jarvis. And it's been a while since I've put out a video, and if you watched my last video you really know why. It's because we have almost a 15-year-old dog. She was 2 months shy of being 15, and she's been on hospice basically for the last year. She's been going downhill for the last 4 years, but the last year she got to the point where she could no longer even use the wheelchair. We have to use a lift harness to get her up and out. And so I was having to wash pee pads and diapers every day, because by the time we got the harness on her, it was usually too late and she was using the pee pads. She had to have a special diet. We were going to the vets a lot with different medicines needed for her. I had to fix special meals for her and feed her like 3 to 4 times a day because of her medicine having to be taken with the food. And it was quite challenging and took up a lot of time, and she was worth it, every bit of it. And one of the things that kind of got put on the back burner was the gardening, the house cleaning. I just did enough to make the house look clean, and that was it. So since she's passed, I've been working at deep cleaning the house. I have the downstairs completely done, working on the upstairs. But it's now February, and it's time to start thinking about the garden again. And some of the things that you're thinking about is you're itching to start planting. So we're going to talk today about some of the things that can be planted in the month of February. Some of these can be planted outside into a greenhouse, some can be planted in a cold frame, and some need to be planted indoors under lights and on a heating mat. And one of the first things that you can plant right now is lettuce. Lettuce is a cold hardy plant. It can withstand some frost. I usually can sow it every 2 weeks, so you have an ongoing continuous harvest. Sow it on the surface. Just gently press it in, because it needs light to germinate. Soil temperatures anywhere from 40 degrees to 80 degrees it'll germinate. The ideal temperature is 68 degrees. They take about 2 to 15 days to sprout, and the seed life of a package is anywhere from 5 to 6 years. To space your transplants, you need to leave about 10 inches between leaf type and about 12 to 16 inches between the heading type lettuces. They don't need much fertilizer. If you're planting them in a square foot garden, they recommend 4 seeds or 4 plants per square. Another thing you can also plant this time is your spinach, and again, same rules apply to the spinach. So your lettuce and your spinach can be planted now. Another thing that can be planted now is eggplants. Now, I haven't planted eggplants for a while, but they did really well in the greenhouse the couple years I did plant them. You can grow them in containers. They're a heat-loving plant, so you need to start them indoors. Soil temperature needs to be between 75 and 90 degrees for them to germinate. And the outdoor temperature, if you're going to put them outside, soil temperature needs to be between 65 and 85 degrees. You sow them about 1/4 of an inch deep, space them 12 to 18 inches apart when you're transplanting them. Rows should be between 2 and 3 foot apart, and if you're doing a square foot garden, 1 per square foot. They take 5 to 17 days to sprout, and the seed life of the package is usually 5 to 6 years. Alright, another thing that you can plant right now is your onion seeds. And you can start onions from seeds, from sets, or from plants. I really like to do them by seeds because there's so much more variety that you can get. If you order sets and plants, you're kind of limited to whatever they have, and it's usually, they don't give you a variety names on a lot of them. It's just white, red, or yellow. So you can choose what you want with the onion seeds. And they need to have a soil temperature of 50 to 75. You sow them about 1/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch deep, depending upon the variety. Space them 2 to 4 inches apart. A square foot garden, you get 16 of them in a square. It takes 6 to 16 days to sprout, and the seed life will go from 1 to 2 years. Another thing that you can plant right now is leeks. They're a frost hardy, cool season plant. Temperature of the soil to germinate is between 50 and 85 degrees. Soil temperature at transplanting time, 45 degrees. Sow them 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep, again depending upon the variety. You can space them 4 to 5 inches apart, and the rows should be 12 to 18 inches. On a square foot garden, 4 per square foot for a large variety, 7 for the smaller varieties. Seed life of the package is about 1 year. Another thing you can plant right now is chives. Chives take 7 to 14 days to sprout, 9 of them per square foot garden. These seeds will store up to 2 years. Another thing that you really need to start right now is your peppers. Hot peppers especially, and then the bell peppers. These are warm weather plants, so they have to be started inside, preferably on a heating mat. They can be grown in containers. In fact, I grow my hot peppers in containers in the high greenhouse and my bell peppers in the low greenhouse. And the reason I keep them separated is because I do save seeds. Soil temperature, time of germination should be 70 to 80 degrees. Transplant, they need to be 65 degrees, the soil does. They take 8 to 25 days to sprout. If the soil is below 55 degrees, they probably will not germinate. You plant them about 1/4 of an inch deep. If you're doing square foot gardening, it's 1 per square foot. Otherwise, plant them, space them 12 to 18 inches apart, with your rows 24 to 30 inches apart. The seed life of a package is 4 to 5 years. And if you're starting them indoors, start them 8 to 12 weeks before you plan on putting them out. And they will need fertilizer. Another thing to plant is your celery. Now, celery needs a rich, dense, nutrient soil and constant level of moisture to actually grow. The soil temperature at germination should be 55 to 70 degrees, and the soil needs to be at least 60 to 65 to transplant them out. They take 10 to 20 days to sprout. Sow the seeds on the surface and just push them in gently. They do need light to germinate. Fertilize them regularly and keep them moist. Sow inside 10 to 12 weeks before you're planting them out. In square foot garden, 1 per plant per square foot. Another thing that's good to plant right now is your kale. Kale comes in so much varieties. There's so many different kinds. I'm sure you can find a kale that you like. And they're a cold hardy plant. Soil temperature for germination is 55 to 75 degrees. They take 5 to 17 days to germinate. Sow them about 1/4 of an inch deep. Plant them out 12 to 24 inches apart, and rows 18 to 36 inches, or 1 per square foot. Start them indoors 4 to 6 weeks before you transplant them outside, and the shelf life of the package seed is usually about 3 years. Another thing you can plant right now is your Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts take a long time to mature, so it's good to get them started indoors 4 to 6 weeks before you plan on setting them out. They like the soil temperature between 55 and 75. Sow them about 1/4 of an inch deep. Thin them to 24 inches apart, which means in a square foot garden it'd be 1 for every 2 square feet. And rows should be 18 to 36 inches apart. They take 5 to 17 days to sprout. The seed life is between 3 and 4 years. So next thing you can plant right now is your parsley. This is a cold weather hardy plant. Soil temperature between 50 and 70 degrees. Soak the seeds for 24 hours in warm water before you plan on planting them to help them to germinate better. They take 2 to 6 weeks to sprout. Sow them just gently on top of the ground, not very deep. In the square foot garden, 4 plants per square foot, and these seeds should last 2 to 3 years. Another one that you can plant, which I don't really have a picture of, is your Swiss chard. Again, this is a cold hardy plant. Soil temperature for germination is between 50 and 75 degrees. Sow them about 1/2 inch deep. Space them 10 to 16 inches apart. In a square foot garden, you can get by with 4 of them per square foot. They take anywhere from 5 to 17 days to sprout. And the rows should be about 18 to 24. And the seeds will last from 4 to 5 years. Another thing that you can plant along with your lettuce is your rocket. And then you can plant flowers, annual flowers, perennial flowers. All these can be planted now inside. Marigolds, get a tray of marigolds going. They're great pest control for your garden. They need a soil temperature of 75 to 80 to germinate, and they take 4 to 7 days to sprout. And you don't sow them very deep. You just sow them about 1/4 of an inch deep. Another thing to start right now is your zinnias. They require a temperature of 70 to 75 to germinate. They take 4 to 8 days to sprout. Keep them in the dark while they're sprouting, germinating. They do not like light. Once they germinate, once they get up and sprout and you can see leaves, then turn the lights on for them. Another thing you can plant inside is your cosmos and impatiens. Impatiens also need to be on heat mat. They like 70 to 75 degree temperatures. They require light to germinate, so do not cover the seeds, just put them on top. They can take anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks to 3 to 4 weeks to sprout, and you should plant them inside 8 to 10 weeks before you plant them outside. Petunias are another thing that you can plant outside you can plant inside right now on a heating mat. They require a temperature of 75 degrees to germinate. They take 7 to 14 days to sprout, and they need 12 to 14 hours of light per day. And do not cover these seeds either. They need light to germinate. So if you have a unheated greenhouse or a cove frame, you can start a lot of these. Anything that says it can take 50 degrees to germinate, you can plant into a cove frame or a unheated greenhouse right now. These will be your lettuce, your spinach, your kale, your rocket, your radishes, beets, carrots, turnips, broccoli, cabbage, leeks, peas, Swiss chard, and most other herbs such as parsley and dill, oregano, and cilantro. These are all cold hardy plants that don't require high temperatures to germinate. So that is what you can plant right now. Watch the weather, and you can tell if it's going to be really, really cold, or if it's going to be really, really cold, you might want to hold off a little bit. Even if you think the soil temperature is going to go below 50. Otherwise, throw a frost blanket over them or a sheet over them, even inside the greenhouse. That will help protect them. But make sure you take it off during the day because those temperatures do rise up fast during the day. So, it's time to start gardening. So I hope you have a good year. Remember to dream big, follow that dream. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye, everybody.